At one point in one of your books, you say that Judith Rich Harris, author of The Nurture Assumption, changed the way I thought about the world. Who is she? Do you know her? When did she write the book, and what was it?
Judith Rich Harris is a psychologist who I wrote about years ago when she wrote a book called The Nurture Assumption, which was an extremely interesting book. And she makes a number of very sophisticated arguments in the book. One of which is that when we talk about what we mean by environmental influence, so all of us are shaped in part by our genes and in part by the world we grew up in. And she wanted to argue, and I think she convincingly did so, that what we mean by that is really peers and not parents. In other words, that parents provide less of an environmental influence on their lives, on the lives of their children, than do children's siblings, friends, cohort. And she works this out, and what appealed to me about that idea was that almost all of a lot of my writing is about trying to understand the nature of the environment, the influence of the environment. That's really what I come back to again and again and again. Outliers is trying to understand success in the context of the worlds people are born into, generation, culture. Blink is trying to understand what's going on around you, how does that affect the kind of snap decision you make, right? So I keep coming back to this issue, and what she did very brilliantly and very early on in my kind of thinking was that she clarified what that means, what the environment means, and she said even more powerfully that we have only the dimmest understanding of what the environment means, right? We've been operating on using all kinds of myths that are untested and untried, and we need to rethink that really important word. And that was a sort of a crucial motivation for me to write some of the books I've written.
A fellow named Paul Greenberg. He writes editorials in his column at the Arkansas Democrat Gazette. It's a conservative paper. He's a conservative writer. He probably has as harsh a criticism as I've seen. He says Malcolm Gladwell's specialty is the kind of pseudo-intellectuality designed for the carriage trade and